13F, and we're going to talk about the role of business in society. Business ethics is the application of general ethical concepts to the unique situations confronted by a business. Business ethics tells people what they ought to do and sets out principles, rules, and questions on what behaviour is right or wrong in a business and what effect they can have on a business's situations. Ethical issues can affect many relationships in the business, from the employee-employer relationship to the company and community relationship. In the last 4 decades, the public have become more interested in business ethics due to the media discussing topics such as climate change and the effects of business on society. Businesses have incorporated religion, social responsibility, as well as ethics into their business to give back to the community. There are forming concepts of ethics developed by moral philosophers to distinguish ethical from non-ethical behaviour. They are relativism, which focuses on the idea that ethics and morality are relative. Egoism, which believes that one ought to act in their own self-interest. Utilitarianism, which focuses on the view that an action is ethical if it promotes the greatest good for the greatest number. And deontologist, which focuses on the idea that actions are justified by their consequences. Kant, a famous philosopher, believes that people should never be treated as a means to an end, but as an end in themselves, and that to treat people as an end requires respect.
Corporate social responsibility is the responsibility of any organisation to add value to the community and society they serve in. The main responsibility of corporations used to be the generation of the profits at any cost. Even today, there is 0 point in a business behaving responsibly if in doing so it puts itself out of business or generates less profit. That is why CSR initiatives can be approached in different ways. For example, environmental concerns can be addressed. Community-based responsibilities, such as supporting local community projects, or international responsibilities, such as human rights issues, are also looked at. As well as this, it focuses on improving the rights and well-being of staff. All of these things are a form of CSR which add value to the society.
As defined by Mason and Mitrov in 1981, stakeholders are all those claimants inside and outside the firm who have a vested interest in the problem and its solution. So basically, stakeholders are those who have some interest or involvement in the business and will be impacted by any changes made the business makes. Shareholders differ from stakeholders in that stakeholders are more general in what they want. They want to be benefited. This benefit does not have to be of monetary value. As shown in the grid, stakeholders are categorised according to their power and interest. Stakeholders may be individuals or groups and will rate differing things with varying importance, which can cause disagreements.
By today's standards, business ethics have become something that is expected from business, as well as making a positive contribution to society and the environment. Whether that can be through the participation of companies in the triple bottom line, and all the way to helping the United Nations with the fulfillment of the Millennium Development Goals. Although the practice of ethics in business is expected and rewarded, the purpose of the business organisations is to benefit society, while still maintaining a profit and shareholder value. This means that some businesses can be tempted to act unethically by partaking in illegal activities such as bribery, or managers of big corporations can often gain too much power and become more interested in personal gains, hindering the company. To combat this, businesses introduce ethical codes of conduct or install ethical committees to ensure all stakeholders are treated with equality and to ensure that the company is in compliance with the law.
Many countries implement barriers for trade, causing exports and imports to fall, slowing down economic growth. In an ideal world, the introduction of globalization should have allowed many countries to trade freely. It should have also reduced the inequalities in developing countries, as there would be greater demand for skilled labor, therefore creating job opportunities and reducing poverty. In reality, the introduction of the idea of globalization into the economy has caused a significant loss of jobs with stronger economies where the minimum wage is higher than in developing countries. It has also created environmental degradation through the negative effects related to the increase in the use of transportation. Globalization has also been detrimental to cultures through the elimination of cultural diversity and the standardization of all cultures.
One of the main causes of the financial crisis we learned is that banks began to give out mortgages irresponsibly to those who would normally not get a mortgage due to poor credit ratings. Falling interest rates caused investment to fall because the return was so low that this meant borrowers could borrow at a lower rate, so they borrowed more. Banks eventually ran out of safe borrowers to lend to and began lending to riskier people in the form of subprime mortgages. These borrowers eventually defaulted their mortgages and could not pay them. Because of this, the bank then owned the houses, and then housing prices fell, which caused some people to think it's unfair to pay a mortgage that's more than their house was worth, so they decided to forsake their houses. This happened everywhere. Banks were left with houses no one wanted to buy, including investors, and many banks were bankrupt, for example the Lehman Brothers. Some governments had to bail out banks in their countries, such as RBS in the UK, which is now 84% nationalised. This cost governments massive amounts of money and had an adverse effect on the revenue of the governments.
Disruptive technologies can be split into three different categories. These categories are emerging technologies, converging technologies, and disruptive technologies. Emerging technologies can be described as technical innovations which enter a completely new field of the market and have arose over years of developing and opening up new avenues. An example of an emerging technology is 3D printing, which is the layering of material to create a 3D product from a digital image. Convergent technologies develop when different products with similar goals combine together and create a product which were previously separate. An example of this is social networking sites, which bring together the ability to share news with friends but also allow for instant communication. Disruptive technologies are innovations that help create new markets and eventually go on to disrupt a previously existing market and value markets, displacing previous technologies. An example of this is smartphones, which have replaced mobile phones, and PDAs combines together the features of a phone but with features similar to a laptop or PC. With each disruptive technology, there is an element of risk as to whether they will benefit or damage society, but it's the duty of the business to work out if these risks are outweighed by the benefits they will create.
We are Group 13F, and now is the role of business and society.